Hey guys, I'm back for part two of chapter three. So again, my lighting is still bad. I don't really know how to fix this. I'm not a professional YouTube guy. So any of you who are good with this, give me some ideas when we get back to school. Whenever I see you guys again, because I'd like to keep making videos like this for people who are out, and to keep in case I'm out and have somebody show in class. I feel like it would be a lot better than what my alternative has been. So anyway, we're going to transition into part two of chapter three. So we had left off with Montag basically. Well, we got through the climax. Montag killed Beatty. And now he's trying to figure out what the next step is. So we have him now. He's on the run. He's not really sure where he's going. He guess he's going to go take a stop at Faber's house, little pit stop before he heads out. So as he's running, we get this detail that's been kind of hinted at throughout the novel, and that's that there's a war going on. I don't know who the fight's with, and Bradbury did that on purpose because he knew that enemies would change over time. When Bradbury was around, you were looking at the Russians were probably, the Germans were still kind of the bad guys because we had just come out of World War II. But then, the Russians were developing as a bad guy, and they held on to that role for a good majority of the next few decades. I mean, even through the 80s, before the 90s came along and we started having, Middle Eastern terrorists and things becoming the bad guys. So, and now Russia's kind of taking it back over. So you see this flipping back and forth. So he didn't really want to identify who the bad guy was. But we do know that they've officially declared war as this begins. We knew that was coming. He's dropped little hints over and over and over. So there's this really awkward scene, and I'm going to sum it up fast, where he gets to this gas station, and there's this huge road he has to go across to get to the gas station. He gets in there, he washes up. He's trying to make himself look less guilty, so maybe he can sneak out of town. But as he's walking back across, he sees this car coming. He's like, I don't want to run because, first of all, in their world, people just aren't outside. There's not pedestrians. In fact, Bradbury, earlier in the novel, Clarice mentioned her uncle being arrested for being a pedestrian. That is actually a short story Bradbury wrote where that actually happens because they just feel like you're suspicious if you're out there and they don't know what you're doing, and they don't want people out walking because when we get out and walk, we have times to think and reflect. Of course, now we have our headphones on, so we're not even doing it then. But, Bradbury was imagining that's what people were doing, so he wanted to make sure their world wanted to make sure that people weren't given that opportunity. So Montag doesn't want to draw attention to himself because really they know there's a man out on the run, and he's one of the few people that are out right now. So he's trying to look like he's not guilty. So he's going to casually walk across this street, but as he's doing it, the car speeds up. And he's like, oh crap, it's the cops. They know it's me. They're coming for me. But he figures I'll just keep playing innocent and keep just walking casually, hoping I can get out of this. Well, the car speeds up and speeds up and speeds up to the point where he finally says, forget it, I got to run. So he takes off running, and it's a really well-described section. Again, the falling action still has to have some suspense or people lose track of caring. So there's definite suspense built here as this car nearly hits him. In fact, it comes so close it almost nicks the edge of his fingernail when he falls down. The thing that saved him was his falling down. All right. When he fell down, the people driving were like, and they moved around. Because I know this seems weird, but a standing up target, if you were to hit it, it would do a lot less damage to your car than if they were laying down. Because if they're laying down, there's a chance you could flip depending on the speed you're going. At least that's what the people in here think. The other disturbing thing he finds out is that as this is going on, it's not the cops. It's a carload of kids, and they are purposely trying to hit him. In fact, after they miss him, we see them turning around and coming back because they're trying to kill him. This is just going to show you how far their world has gotten to being as violent as it is. All right. That's the scary part here. And I realize one of the things with dystopian literature is it's exaggerated so much that we're not there. And the idea of us ever getting to this point is frightening. But guys, people are at the point where we're so selfish now. This is the inevitable conclusion if there's not something done to stop it. Because, they point out earlier in the novel that the police don't even care about this kind of stuff. If there's a guy out walking, he's not supposed to be out walking. Too bad he got hit. As long as everybody's got insurance, they really don't care because, at the end of the day, there's just no concern for other people in this world. So Montag, we get this image again of that their world it's not fixable, to be honest with you. It's sad to say that, but there's just no way you can fix this, okay? So Montag gets back up, gets out of there, doesn't want this car coming back for him. There's a really short scene where he plants some books, and one of the people he works with, one of the firemen, Mr. Black, he plants some books in their house, calls it in. It's only one house, and honestly, it doesn't do anything, but it makes him feel like he's still moving forward. that's kind of the thing here. When you're in a hopeless situation, the way to get through it is to find something to focus on so that you still feel like you're moving forward. The worst thing you can do is wallow in self-pity and just lay there and do nothing. All right. A lot of people are having to find this out right now. Is we're dealing with like unforeseen economic issues as people are really struggling just to get by. And it's like, what am I going to do to, find any hope in this? I can't go out and look for a job. I can't leave the house, that sort of thing. And the goal is not to sit. This is what we have, what they call perpetually jobless people who, even when the economy's open and they're going out and looking and they can't find jobs, eventually they just give up. So you get into this habit of waking up late, laying on the couch, and just you lose all hope. And to keep that hope alive, you have to keep moving forward. So Montag realizes that, and he's going to keep going. After dropping these books off and turning in the call, he gets to Faber's house. And Faber thought he was dead. So Faber's excited to see him. We see a real shift in Faber here. And Faber's a dynamic character. One of the mistakes people make is they think usually that a minor character has to be flat and static. Flat meaning you really only see one angle of their personality. Static meaning they don't change. That is actually not true. In fact, good writers mix these characters up greatly, okay? So dynamic means they change. When we first saw Faber, he was nervous, he was scared, he was a timid person. Now he's not. Now he's like, this has invigorated him, he says. He feels ready to go. Montag fills him in on what happened. The captain's dead. He found the capsule. I was worried he was going to come after you. And Faber tells him, hey, look, man, you had to do what you had to do. I mean, he's trying to make Montag feel better because Montag is still distraught that he killed a man. Listen to what Faber says. He says, I feel alive for the first time in years, and I feel I'm doing what I should have done a lifetime ago. For a little while, I'm not afraid. Maybe it's because I'm doing the right thing at last. Maybe it's because I've done a rash thing and don't want to look the coward to you. I suppose I'll have to do even more violent things expecting myself so I won't fall down on the job and turn scared again. Like he's pointing out, now I've taken that initial step, and now I want to get out there, and you're the one inspiring me now. Okay, so Montag, is having impact on other people. He asks Montag, what are you doing? Montag's like, I guess keep running. And Faber tells him, okay, so here's what you need to do. Get to the river. The river will get you out of town. When you get out of town, look for the railroad tracks. There's no real railroad. There's no rail traffic anymore. There's no trains. But the railroads are still there, and those are used as guideposts for what he calls what we would call hobo camps, but he calls them the walking camps because they're not the typical hobos. When we think of hobos, we think of some, scruffy-looking beard, like mine. You think of a guy who's dirty, who, somewhat crazy, definitely impoverished, and that's not what they have. They have the opposite out there. They're still bearded guys. They're still kind of dirty, but he says there's a lot of Harvard degrees out on these, and what's happened is the intellectuals are now the outcasts in society. So they're out there and you run into them. And he says, if you stay on the tracks, eventually you'll come across one of them and they can help you. And so they have their goodbyes. They realize all of a sudden they're watching, before they leave, Faber's like, hey, let's check out the TV. Let's see what's going on. They go and look at the TV and they realize that the cops are back on the trail of Montag. In fact, they brought in a new hound. It's got Montag's scent. So this is a rush now for him. So he starts looking around Faber's house and realizes, crap, my scent is all over your house. If we don't do something, they're gonna get you. So they start going through, and obviously today this would be useless, all right. But what they do is they try to do everything they can to mask his scent. They burn a bunch of stuff. They use alcohol to hide it. So they do everything they can possible to get Montag out of there and not get Faber in trouble. Okay, so they do end up saying their goodbyes. And Montag's thinking as he's watching this, he's like, what if I did get caught? What if I sat here and watched, on this TV as they literally came in and they caught me live and I knew I had everyone's attention for this brief second. He's like, what could I say at that moment to really impact people? And he realizes I have nothing to say. And that's scary, okay? So, it's a little side tangent here, very minor, all right? The point is that when it comes our time, if we knew that tomorrow was going to be it for us and this was going to be the end of our lives, we should have something we could say that would be impactful. We have to have stood for something. And Montag realizes at this point he's on the track, but he's not there yet. And he doesn't know what he's going to say. So he says, all right, well, we're about to get out of here. Let's see. He gets a suitcase. And this is kind of the end. We're going to have a really short video today. I did this one right. He basically says, we're going to get all of this. They're going to go grab some dirty clothes, put it in this suitcase. They're going to seal it tight. Hopefully once Montag hits the river, that'll kill the scent. And then with a mixture of, he takes some alcohol again to snort up his nose, which that would be traumatic. but he's going to do that. He's going to put on these dirty clothes, just anything he can do to throw off the scent of this hound. He doesn't know how far the hound's going to follow him. He doesn't think, hey, if I get out in the woods, maybe they'll give up. He's worried it'll keep chasing him. And so he's done everything he can possible to end this. And at that point, he runs out of the house. All right. So there's going to be two real big elements of suspense we get in this section. All right. The first one we just had, the car chase. If you go back and read that section, I purposely didn't read it to you. I want you to do the reading, not just listen to these videos. If you go back and do the reading, you see how Bradbury builds the suspense. What happens to build suspense is you slow things down, but you speed up the writing. And you do speed up writing by making sentences shorter, a lot more brief, and a lot more simplistic but quick, rapid fire. And he does that, but yet he's detailing everything as the car speeds up and it gets closer and it gets closer and it gets closer. But the quicker sentences naturally make it speed up, all right? So that's your first one. We're going to see the second one here in a minute on his run to the river, which is going to use some of the same techniques. All right, so again, I didn't write down the questions, so give me 2 seconds. Let me look back and tell you which questions you should have at this point. Let's see, get the right class. You guys will have, let me find the questions. Here they are. All right, so we left off on 9 on the last one. Now we're going to have, oh, this is chapter 1. Well, guys, give me just a second. I'm struggling here. Oh, I'm looking at chapter 2. We're in chapter 3, aren't we? All right, well, let's get there. Well, we may not be able to. All right. Hey, guys, I'm not sure what it is. I'll have it listed out to the side, okay? I'll find it later, and next to the actual video, I'll list the question numbers because I can't find the questions. I know I did them. But kind of like the same problem you guys have. Sometimes you do it and then it seems to disappear. So I will put these out to the side. I apologize for not having that prepared. So anyway, 12 minutes, much better than last time. So I hope you guys had a great Tuesday. We're going to pause here or stop here. I'm going to pick up and do my next video for the third part and Montag's run to the river. All right, guys. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.